Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about a powerful shift, one rooted in self-worth, respect, and the energy we put into our relationships. This isn't about playing games or manipulation. It's about honoring yourself and creating the space for authentic connection. When you stop texting and calling someone who's been occupying your thoughts, you're not withdrawing love, you're redirecting it. You're reclaiming your energy. You're saying, I value myself enough to step back and observe how I'm truly being valued. Energy speaks louder than words. It is an invisible force, yet its impact is undeniable. Every interaction, every relationship, every moment of connection is infused with the energy we bring to it. It shapes how others perceive us, how they respond to us, and ultimately how they choose to engage with us. When you stop texting and calling, what you're truly doing is shifting your energy. And this shift sends a message far clearer and more powerful than any words you could say. When we reach out repeatedly, whether through texts, calls, or other means, we're often expressing a desire to connect. But sometimes that desire can overshadow the balance in a relationship. If the effort becomes one-sided, the energy begins to feel strained. The constant giving without reciprocation can leave you feeling depleted and unappreciated. That's not because your efforts aren't valuable, but because the balance of energy is off. When you stop initiating contact, it's not about withholding love or attention. It's about reclaiming your energy and allowing space for the other person to decide what they truly want. Energy works like a ripple. When you pull yours back, it creates an energetic void. This void naturally draws attention, causing the other person to feel your absence. Suddenly, they're faced with the reality of what it means to not have your energy constantly flowing toward them. This isn't manipulation, it's nature. Relationships thrive on mutual energy exchange. When you step back, you're inviting the other person to contribute to that balance. You're allowing them the opportunity to show up in ways they may not have before. Sometimes people don't realize the value of your presence until it's no longer readily available. By shifting your focus inward and redirecting your energy, you give them the space to reflect on their feelings, their priorities, and their role in the relationship. The beauty of this process is that it creates clarity. If the other person values the connection, they will feel compelled to act. They'll reach out, make an effort, and show that they want to maintain the bond. If they don't, it's not a reflection of your worth, but rather a sign that their energy isn't aligned with yours. This clarity is a gift because it saves you from investing further in a connection that isn't reciprocated. But the most profound impact of pulling back is the transformation that happens within you. When you stop constantly texting and calling, you're redirecting your energy back to yourself. Instead of seeking validation or connection from someone else, you begin to focus on your own well-being. You start to recognize your own value independent of how others respond to you. This shift in perspective can be incredibly empowering. As you redirect your energy inward, you begin to feel more balanced, grounded, and self-assured. You realize that your worth isn't determined by someone else's attention or lack thereof. This realization changes the way you show up in all your relationships. You no longer feel the need to overextend yourself or chase after someone who may not be willing to meet you halfway. Instead, you exude a quiet confidence that says, I know my value, and I trust that the right people will see it too. This shift in energy doesn't just affect how you feel about yourself, it also changes how others perceive you. Confidence is magnetic. When you stand in your power and honor your own boundaries, it draws people in. They sense your self-respect and are naturally inclined to treat you with the same respect. This is the power of energy. It communicates what words often cannot. When you stop texting and calling, you're not being silent out of anger or spite. You're being silent because you trust the process. You trust that the energy you're putting out into the world will come back to you in the right way. This trust is a testament to your inner strength and your belief in your own worth. It's also important to recognize that not everyone will react in the way you hope. Some people may drift away when you stop initiating contact. This can be painful, but it's also a blessing in disguise. It's a clear indication that their energy wasn't aligned with yours. Letting go of these connections creates space for the right people to enter your life, those who value you and are willing to invest in the relationship. Ultimately, this process is about balance. It's about ensuring that your energy is valued and reciprocated. It's about creating relationships that uplift and nourish you rather than drain you. When you pull back, you're not losing, you're simply making space for what is truly meant for you. Energy speaks louder than words. It's a silent, powerful force that guides our interactions and shapes our relationships. When you stop texting and calling, you're not just changing the way you communicate, you're shifting the entire dynamic of the relationship. You're saying without words that your energy is valuable and you won't spend it where it's not appreciated. This isn't just a lesson in relationships, it's a lesson in life. Your energy is your most precious resource. Guard it, honor it, and share it with those who truly value it. The right people will always respond, not just to your words, but to the energy you bring into their lives. Creating space for true intentions is one of the most transformative acts you can do in any relationship. It's a shift from pushing and pulling to allowing and observing. When you step back and allow space to exist, you're no longer trying to control or force outcomes. Instead, you're giving the relationship room to breathe, to grow naturally, and to reveal its genuine nature. This act of creating space is not a withdrawal of love or care, but an offering of clarity for both yourself and the other person. Relationships are often clouded by constant interaction. The back and forth of texts, calls, and conversations can sometimes blur what's real and what's reactive. It's easy to fall into patterns of communication that feel obligatory rather than intentional. When you decide to stop initiating, you're essentially pressing pause on those patterns. This pause isn't about silence, it's about listening to yourself and to the other person. The space you create when you stop reaching out becomes a mirror. It reflects the dynamics of the relationship back to both parties. If the other person values the connection, they will step forward to fill the space you've created. They'll take initiative, not because they're being pushed or prompted, but because they genuinely want to. This step is an authentic expression of their feelings and intentions. It's a way for them to demonstrate their commitment without being guided by external expectations. On the other hand, if they don't step forward, it's a revelation of another kind. It may feel painful initially, but it's a gift of truth. When someone doesn't use the space you create to engage meaningfully, it's a clear sign that their energy and priorities may not align with yours. This clarity allows you to let go of relationships that aren't serving you, freeing you to invest your energy where it's truly valued. This process isn't just about the other person, it's about you too. Creating space allows you to reconnect with yourself. It's an opportunity to evaluate your own intentions and desires. Are you reaching out because you genuinely want to connect, or are you seeking validation? Are you afraid of what might happen if you stop trying so hard, or are you trusting the relationship to stand on its own? These are important questions, and the answers can be profoundly enlightening. When you create space, you're also practicing trust in the relationship, trust in the other person, and most importantly, trust in yourself. You're letting go of the need to control every aspect of the interaction. This trust is a powerful energy. It says, I believe in the strength of this connection, and I trust that it will either grow or reveal its limits in its own time. This kind of trust is liberating, because it removes the weight of constant effort and expectation. The act of creating space doesn't mean you're giving up, it means you're stepping back to allow authenticity to emerge. It's about observing rather than reacting. This pause can reveal surprising truths, not just about the other person, but about the relationship as a whole. It's in these moments of stillness that true intentions rise to the surface. For the other person, the space you create can be a wake-up call. It can prompt them to reflect on their feelings, their actions, and their priorities. Sometimes people don't realize what they have until they're given the chance to miss it. When you step back, you give them that chance. You allow them to see the relationship from a different perspective, free from the noise of constant interaction. If the relationship is meant to thrive, the space you create will become a foundation for deeper connection. It will inspire genuine effort and mutual respect. But if the relationship isn't aligned with your highest good, the space will reveal that too. Either way, you gain clarity, which is invaluable. Creating space isn't about punishing the other person or testing their loyalty. It's an act of self-respect and self-preservation. It's about ensuring that your energy is invested in relationships that are reciprocal and meaningful. By stepping back, you're saying, I value myself enough to allow this relationship to unfold naturally, without force or fear. As the space unfolds, you'll notice how it changes your own perspective. You may feel a sense of peace as you release the need to constantly give or chase. You'll likely discover a new depth of self-awareness and self-trust. This shift is empowering. It reminds you that you don't have to overextend yourself to keep a relationship alive. True connections thrive on balance, not effort alone. Ultimately, creating space for true intentions is an act of love, not just for the other person, but for yourself. It's about honoring the relationship enough to let it reveal its authentic nature. It's about trusting that what's meant for you will come toward you, and what isn't will naturally fade away. This process is transformative. It aligns you with relationships that are rooted in genuine connection and frees you from those that are not. By creating space, you open the door to deeper understanding, mutual respect, and the kind of love that thrives without force. Trust the space you create. It will guide you toward the clarity and connection you deserve. The mirror effect is a profound concept that shapes the way we interact with the world and understand ourselves. At its core, it suggests that the people, experiences, and circumstances in our lives often reflect what is happening within us. Our external reality becomes a mirror of our internal state, offering insights that can guide us towards self-awareness and growth. This understanding allows us to view life not as something that happens to us, but as something that responds to us. When we encounter relationships, for instance, they frequently act as mirrors to our beliefs, emotions, and energy. A partner's behavior might reveal insecurities we hold or patterns we've unconsciously repeated. If someone treats you with kindness and respect, it often reflects the way you've cultivated self-respect and compassion. On the other hand, if a relationship feels challenging or draining, it can point to areas within yourself that may need healing or boundaries that require reinforcement. This isn't about blame, it's about understanding. The mirror effect doesn't suggest that you are at fault for everything that happens in your life, but rather that life offers you opportunities to see yourself more clearly. These reflections help you recognize the energy and intentions you project, which in turn shape your experiences. Consider moments of frustration or conflict. When someone triggers a strong emotional reaction in you, it's tempting to focus on their behavior as the problem. But the mirror effect invites you to look deeper. Why does their action provoke such a response? What belief or wound is it touching within you? Often what we perceive in others highlights something we have yet to address in ourselves. For instance, if someone's criticism feels particularly painful, it may reflect a fear of inadequacy or a lack of self-acceptance. Once you begin to understand this dynamic, you gain the power to shift it. Instead of feeling victimized by circumstances or other people's actions, you start to see these experiences as valuable teachers. They guide you to explore your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors with greater curiosity and compassion. This process is not about judgment, but about growth. The mirror effect also applies to the energy we bring into the world. If you approach life with positivity, openness, and gratitude, you are likely to attract similar energy from others. People respond to the vibes you emit, often reflecting them back to you. Conversely, if you carry resentment, fear, or anger, it's not uncommon for those emotions to be mirrored in your experiences. This doesn't mean you should suppress or ignore negative emotions. They're a natural part of being human. Instead, it encourages you to become more mindful of how you process and express them. Self-awareness is the key to working with the mirror effect. It requires you to pause and reflect on the patterns in your life. Are there recurring themes in your relationships, career, or personal growth? Do certain situations seem to repeat themselves no matter how much you try to avoid them? These patterns often hold clues about beliefs or fears you've carried for a long time. By identifying these underlying dynamics, you can begin to shift them, creating a new reality that aligns with your true intentions and desires. The mirror effect isn't limited to interpersonal relationships. It extends to all areas of life. Your environment, your habits, and even your physical health can reflect your inner state. A cluttered or chaotic space might mirror mental overwhelm, while a calm and organized environment can reflect a sense of inner peace. Similarly, the way you care for your body often reflects how much you value yourself. These external cues are not judgments, but gentle reminders of what's happening within. Embracing the mirror effect also means taking responsibility for your own energy. When you stop blaming others or external circumstances, you reclaim your power. You recognize that while you cannot control everything that happens, you can influence how you respond and what you project into the world. This shift from reaction to intention is transformative. As you begin to see life through the lens of the mirror effect, you cultivate a deeper sense of empathy for yourself and for others. You understand that everyone is navigating their own reflections, often unaware of the patterns they're perpetuating. This awareness fosters compassion, even in challenging interactions. You stop taking things personally and start seeing them as opportunities for mutual growth and understanding. The mirror effect teaches you that life is not separate from you. It is connected to you in profound ways. It is an ongoing dialogue between your inner and outer worlds. By paying attention to this dialogue, you gain the clarity to make conscious choices that align with your values and aspirations. Ultimately, the mirror effect is a call to love and accept yourself fully. The more you nurture self-love and self-awareness, the more harmonious your reflections become. Life begins to mirror your inner peace, confidence, and joy, creating a reality that feels authentic and fulfilling. This is the gift of the mirror effect, the opportunity to grow, evolve, and create a life that truly reflects the best of who you are. So often in life, we become fixated on the actions, words, and behaviors of others. We analyze what they said, how they treated us, or why they acted in certain ways. This fixation can lead to frustration, confusion, and even self-doubt. But the truth is, it's not about them, it's about you. It's about your reactions, your interpretations, and your energy. When you shift your focus inward, you reclaim your power, recognizing that how you respond to the world is within your control, even if you can't always control what happens. When someone offends you, dismisses you, or fails to meet your expectations, the immediate instinct is often to point the finger outward. Why did they do that? Or how could they treat me this way? These questions, while natural, direct your energy to the external, leaving you feeling powerless. The real question to ask is, why am I reacting this way? Your reaction holds the key to deeper self-understanding. Maybe their words touched on an old insecurity or reminded you of a past wound. Whatever the case, the discomfort is a signal to look inward and heal what's unresolved. This inward focus doesn't mean ignoring bad behavior or excusing harm. It's about understanding that your peace and happiness don't have to be dictated by the actions of others. When you center your attention on your own responses, you're not letting others off the hook, you're simply choosing not to give them control over your emotional state. It's a powerful act of self-respect. Consider how often we seek validation from others. Whether it's approval from a partner, recognition from a boss, or acceptance from a group, we sometimes place our sense of worth in their hands. When they don't respond as we hope, it feels like rejection, triggering feelings of inadequacy. But this is not about them. It's about how much of your self-worth you've tied to external validation. The moment you realize your value is inherent and not dependent on anyone else, you free yourself from this cycle. Their approval or disapproval becomes less about your worth and more about their perspective, which has no bearing on your truth. Relationships offer some of the most profound opportunities to practice this perspective. When conflicts arise, it's easy to focus on what the other person did wrong. But the truth is, relationships act as mirrors. They reflect your beliefs, fears, and unhealed wounds back to you. If someone's actions make you feel unseen, it may be a reflection of how you've neglected to see yourself. If their words make you feel small, perhaps it's pointing to areas where you've doubted your own power. Instead of focusing on their actions, ask what the situation is teaching you about yourself. This shift from external blame to internal reflection doesn't make the actions of others irrelevant, but it does change the dynamic. Instead of waiting for others to change, you become the change. You set boundaries where they're needed, you communicate your needs with clarity, and you walk away from relationships that no longer serve your growth. These actions come not from a place of anger or resentment, but from self-awareness and self-love. You're not trying to control them. You're choosing to honor yourself. Taking responsibility for your own energy is another important aspect of this principle. If you constantly find yourself drained or frustrated by others, it's worth asking how you might be contributing to the dynamic. Are you overextending yourself, hoping to earn love or appreciation? Are you holding onto resentment instead of expressing your feelings? These patterns often stem from an internal imbalance. When you address them within yourself, the external world often shifts as a result. It's also important to remember that everyone is navigating their own struggles. People's actions are often a reflection of their inner world, not a personal attack on you. The person who lashes out may be dealing with their own pain. The friend who distances themselves might be wrestling with their own fears. Recognizing this doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it does help you approach situations with empathy rather than defensiveness. It's not about tolerating mistreatment, it's about understanding that their actions are about them, just as your reactions are about you. By focusing on yourself, you become a source of stability in your own life. You learn to process emotions without projecting them onto others. You recognize patterns and break free from cycles that no longer serve you. You build a foundation of self-awareness that allows you to navigate the world with grace and resilience. When challenges arise, you no longer feel like a victim of circumstance. Instead, you see them as opportunities for growth and self-discovery. This shift in perspective transforms your relationships. When you stop trying to control or fix others, you allow them to be themselves. You meet them where they are without losing yourself in the process. You communicate with authenticity and listen with empathy. These changes ripple outward, creating deeper connections and fostering mutual respect. Ultimately, life becomes less about what others do and more about how you choose to respond. By focusing on your inner world, you create a sense of peace and strength that no one can take away. It's not about them, it's about you. And that's where your power lies. Trusting the process is one of the most profound lessons we can embrace in life. It is an act of faith, patience, and surrender, knowing that everything is unfolding as it should, even when the path ahead seems uncertain or the journey feels challenging. To trust the process is to recognize that life operates on a timeline far greater than our immediate desires, and it invites us to let go of control while staying open to the lessons and growth that each moment offers. In our fast-paced world, it's natural to want immediate results. We set goals, take steps toward them, and often grow impatient when progress feels slow or obstacles appear. It's in these moments of uncertainty or delay that doubt begins to creep in. We start questioning ourselves, am I on the right path? Is this effort even worth it? Why isn't it happening faster? These thoughts can be overwhelming, but they are also a signal, a reminder to trust the process, to release the need for instant gratification, and to stay grounded in faith. Trusting the process does not mean passivity or complacency. It doesn't suggest that you sit back and wait for life to happen to you. On the contrary, it requires you to show up fully, to give your best effort, and to remain committed to your vision. But alongside that commitment, it asks you to relinquish the illusion of control over outcomes. You plant the seeds, nurture them, and trust that in time they will bloom. You may not always see immediate evidence of growth, but that doesn't mean progress isn't being made beneath the surface. One of the challenges of trusting the process is dealing with uncertainty. As humans, we crave predictability and control, yet life is inherently unpredictable. The unknown can feel intimidating, but it's also where possibility resides. When you trust the process, you begin to see uncertainty not as something to fear, but as a space for growth and transformation. It's in the times of not knowing that you develop resilience, faith, and creativity. You learn to adapt, to let go of rigid expectations, and to embrace the flow of life. Another key aspect of trusting the process is patience. Growth and change often happen gradually, and the most meaningful transformations take time. Just as a caterpillar undergoes a complete metamorphosis to become a butterfly, we too must honor the stages of our journey. There are moments when the process feels slow or stagnant, but these periods are often necessary. They provide time for reflection, realignment, and preparation for what's to come. Trusting the process means understanding that timing is everything, and what's meant for you will unfold when the time is right. Life's challenges are also an essential part of the process. It's easy to trust when things are going smoothly, but the real test comes when you face obstacles or setbacks. These moments can feel like roadblocks, but they are often opportunities in disguise. Challenges push you out of your comfort zone, forcing you to grow in ways you might not have otherwise. They teach you perseverance, resourcefulness, and the importance of keeping faith even when the road feels uphill. Trusting the process means seeing difficulties not as punishments or failures, but as stepping stones that lead you closer to your goals. The process also involves letting go of control, of perfectionism, and of the need to have all the answers. It's about releasing attachments to specific outcomes and trusting that life has a way of working itself out. This doesn't mean you stop dreaming or striving. It means you loosen your grip on how things should unfold. When you release the need to micromanage every detail, you make space for unexpected blessings and opportunities to enter your life. Sometimes What unfolds is even greater than what you initially envisioned. Another important component of trusting the process is self-compassion. The journey of life is not always linear, and there will be times when you stumble, take detours, or feel like giving up. Trusting the process means giving yourself grace during these moments. It's about acknowledging your humanity, learning from your experiences, and continuing to move forward. Self-compassion allows you to stay resilient and optimistic even when the path ahead feels unclear. As you practice trusting the process, you begin to notice the beauty in the journey itself. You become more present, appreciating the small victories and moments of growth along the way. You realize that life is not just about reaching the destination, but about the person you become through the process. Each step, no matter how small, brings you closer to your true self and to the fulfillment of your purpose. In the end, trusting the process is an act of love for yourself, for your journey, and for the greater forces at work in the universe. It's a reminder that you are exactly where you're meant to be, and everything is unfolding in perfect timing. Trust doesn't eliminate challenges, but it transforms the way you face them. It replaces fear with faith, impatience with peace, and doubt with confidence. When you trust the process, you align yourself with the flow of life, allowing it to guide you toward your highest potential. And in doing so, you create a life that is not only meaningful, but also deeply fulfilling. Your value is inherent, undeniable, and not subject to negotiation. Yet, so many of us forget this simple truth. We base our worth on external factors, what others think of us, how much we achieve, or the roles we play in life. This constant search for validation leaves us vulnerable to rejection, criticism, or even self-doubt. But your value is not tied to someone else's opinion. It's not defined by your accomplishments or diminished by your setbacks. It simply is. When you recognize that your value is non-negotiable, you begin to live a life rooted in self-respect, confidence, and authenticity. The world often conditions us to measure our worth by how we compare to others. We're told that success, beauty, intelligence, or social status determines how valuable we are. But these comparisons are illusions. They distract you from the truth that your worth is intrinsic, it comes from within and is not dependent on external circumstances. Comparing yourself to others only serves to weaken your sense of self. Instead, focus on your unique qualities and the gifts you bring to the world. No one else can be you, and that is your greatest strength. Setting boundaries is one of the most important ways to honor your non-negotiable value. Too often people overextend themselves, saying yes to things that drain their energy or compromise their peace simply because they fear disappointing others. But when you truly understand your worth, you realize that it's not selfish to protect your time, energy, and well-being. It's necessary. You can't pour from an empty cup. And honoring your boundaries ensures that you have the resources to give to yourself and others in a meaningful way. There will always be those who don't see your value, and that's okay. Their perception is not your responsibility. You don't need to convince anyone of your worth or seek validation from those who fail to appreciate you. Trying to prove your value to others is like negotiating a price for something priceless. It's a losing battle. Instead, surround yourself with people who recognize and celebrate your inherent worth, who uplift and inspire you. These are the people who truly matter. Your value is not defined by your achievements either. Society often equates success with worth, but your worth is not a scoreboard. Whether you're thriving or struggling, whether you've reached your goals or taken a step back, your value remains constant. It's easy to feel discouraged when things don't go as planned, but setbacks don't diminish your worth. In fact, they often provide opportunities for growth and resilience. Success is fleeting, but your value is eternal. Self-talk plays a powerful role in how you perceive your value. Pay attention to the way you speak to yourself. Are you critical and harsh or kind and supportive? The words you use internally shape your beliefs about yourself. If you constantly doubt your abilities or focus on your perceived flaws, you weaken your sense of self-worth. But when you practice affirming your value, reminding yourself that you are enough exactly as you are, you strengthen your inner foundation. Positive self-talk isn't about ignoring areas for improvement. It's about recognizing that you are deserving of love and respect, regardless of where you are on your journey. Recognizing that your value is non-negotiable also means refusing to settle. Whether it's in relationships, career, or personal goals, settling for less than you deserve diminishes your sense of self. When you know your worth, you don't accept situations or relationships that don't honor your value. This isn't about arrogance or entitlement. It's about aligning yourself with opportunities and people who reflect the respect you have for yourself. Settling might feel comfortable in the moment, but it ultimately leads to dissatisfaction. Trust that you are worthy of more, and don't be afraid to wait for or pursue what truly aligns with your value. Living with the understanding that your value is not negotiable requires courage. It means standing firm in your beliefs even when others challenge them. It means walking away from situations that no longer serve you, even when it's hard. It means believing in yourself even when the world seems to tell you otherwise. This courage comes from a deep connection to yourself, a knowing that you are whole and complete as you are. Your value is also not tied to your past. Mistakes, regrets, or failures do not define you. Each moment is an opportunity to begin anew, to learn, and to grow. Don't let your past hold you hostage or make you question your worth. Instead, see it as a part of your story that has shaped who you are today. You are not your mistakes. You are the person who has risen beyond them. When you embrace the truth that your value is non-negotiable, you begin to live with greater clarity and purpose. You stop seeking approval from others and start giving it to yourself. You let go of the need to prove yourself and start focusing on what truly matters to you. This shift transforms your relationships, your work, and your sense of fulfillment. You become aligned with your authentic self, and from this place of alignment, you create a life that reflects your worth. Remember, your value is not something to be debated or diminished. It is a truth that exists within you, unchanging and eternal. Embrace it, honor it, and live by it. The world doesn't need you to be anyone else. It needs you to be fully and unapologetically yourself. When you know your worth, you move through life with confidence and grace, and you inspire others to do the same. Your value is not negotiable. It is your birthright.